Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Entrepreneurship Lab. This is your host, Nevin Bajalat, welcoming you once again to the podcast where we help you grow and scale your business. And today we have an exceptional guest. And if you're looking to build your product to scale and to learn more about product industry, this episode is for you. My guest name is Thomas Smith, and he isn't just another voice in beauty industry. He is one of the rare insiders who shaped it from the ground up. And you wouldn't believe it, but Thomas has done everything from managing luxury cosmetics floors at Saks Fifth Avenue. He developed products actually for Cindy Crawford's Meaningful Beauty. He helped grow Anastasia Beverly Hills into $1 billion empire and so on. So if there is someone to learn from about building products, that's Thomas. So Thomas, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. I've been listening to the show.
Thank you so much. And I want to know a little bit about your background. Like, let's go way back. How did you started becoming an entrepreneur? What led you to go this way into developing products and into beauty industry? Where did it all start?
So I always say that I didn't choose skincare. Skincare chose me, which I think is some of the, most fortuitous journeys sometimes start that way. But I was a literally a doorman for Saks Fifth Avenue when I was going to college. And I didn't screw that up. I opened doors properly for wealthy people in Denver. And so they were like, hey, do you want to be the cosmetic stock boy? And I was like, sure, why not? I needed some extra cash while I was going to college. And so I did that. And then when I didn't screw that up, they said, hey, do you want to go to New York City and be in their executive training program? So what country come to town, little Denver guy, didn't want to do that. So I moved to New York City and I was in their program. Super awesome. I did that for about 8 years. Then I got recruited to Sephora and I helped open the very first Sephora stores in the country, which was super crazy and quite a wild ride, which we can talk about more in depth if that is of interest to you. And then I spent my second decade of the career back at home in Colorado, where I did a startup. I created very moisturizing, incredibly hydrating formulas for the very dry skin of Denver because Denver has like 4% humidity. So I was just watching people age in front of me. And because I have this background, I thought, let's do this for people. So I did that for about 10 years. And then my most recent decade has been in LA. So I kind of hopped and skipped across the country. So now I'm in LA. I've had the fortune for working for Unilever, Murad, like you mentioned, Cindy Crawford, Anastasia Beverly Hills. And now I'm back to being an entrepreneur again, which is my one true love, bringing beautiful products, very dense, luxurious, luscious, incredibly hydrating and anti-aging products to customers at a very fair, affordable price.
Wow, I mean, in a few minutes, but of such a background, and I mean, going from East Coast to West Coast, all the experiences, and I mean, talking about Sephora, I spent a decade in Dubai, and like every Sephora, there's few Sephoras in every shopping mall, and we just live for it, right? From makeup to skincare to perfumes. So I mean, that's so amazing, but I want to ask you something, as you said, you're passionate about being an entrepreneur, and this industry is very saturated and many entrepreneurs feel their industry is saturated, like there's so many products. So what do you think, where do you start when you as entrepreneur want to develop a new product? Like, are you looking at a gap in the market, solving a problem, or, just some bridge that something is missing or making something existing better? Like, where is your brain when you want to create a new product?
Sure. So it's interesting. My journey is probably a little bit different than others because I I am secretly the laziest skincare person on the planet, which is totally ironic because I've been developing or marketing some of the biggest formulas really in the world for obviously many decades. But the truth of the matter is, I always want to get out of the bathroom as fast as possible. And even though I was responsible for creating all these products, I hardly ever used any of them. And that sounds crazy, I know. I do my best thinking in the shower, so I I do love that part of getting ready, but after that, I have so many ideas sort of tumbling out of my brain that I want to get them into my computer as fast as possible. And just in general, I've never been this type of person who luxuriates in the ceremony of a long, complicated routine, etc. Now, if that's your jam, more power to you. Like, I have mad respect for that. I just don't have the patience or the time for it. So, secretly, like in the last 10 years, I've been trying to develop these really awesome multitasking products in my corporate jobs. But inevitably, I would always get stopped by the CFO because they would be like, sorry, costs too much money. This will never fly. Like, it has to, every every product cost is I call it a recipe, right? There's so much that goes to packaging, X amount goes to the formula, blah, blah, blah. There's all these things that stack up to bring that product to you. And in general, the goop, as we call it, right? The juice is usually the thing that it doesn't necessarily cost the least, but I guarantee you packaging always costs more. So that's mostly what you're paying for. So I kept trying to develop these multitasking products and I would always get stopped. And so I thought to myself, if I ever decide to be an entrepreneur again, I'm going to do this because I know there are more people out there like me who want not just multitasking, but hyper tasking products that I've done all the work for you. You're not going to be playing scientist on your own skin. One of the reasons why skin is so angry and there's such a proliferation of redness and all that is because people are left to their own devices. They don't know what to mix with what. Influencers are telling them to use 20,000 things in each post. So they're being misled and almost disenfranchised. So this takes all the guesswork out of it. You know that everything has been perfectly tuned together to work for the basic health of your skin, but also to give you that wow, that what I call the 2 minute wow, so that when you walk out of your bathroom, you feel like you sort of game the system. You're like, you know what? I spent like the least amount of time for the maximum amount of, impact and outcome. It's almost like the TJ Maxx of skincare, right? Like you're getting the max for the minimum, even though we're not sold at that price point.
And I'm totally your customer. Like, I hate these routines and 1 million products. And sometimes I'm even feeling like, is it good to use so many products? Like my grandma used nothing. Like she used Nivea, like Nivea, right? That was the only cream that existed at the time. And that was it. And her skin was amazing. So I'm like, wait, like sometimes, like you're saying, we're doing way too much and we're ruining our skin. And I'm definitely one of those always in the rush. Everything can be quicker. I just save time. Time is money for me. So I am that person that always looking for that. And for sure there is markets. I love that because you're focusing on something that you feel. And I think big corporations that purposefully don't want to have one product, they want to have 10 products because that way they're making more money, right? So they have more to sell. And they tell you, have need number one, number two, number three. And it's also kind of from that point of view, I think, how the industry is working. But that's super, super interesting. So if somebody wants to start developing a product right now and on this journey, what do you think you wish you knew earlier that maybe will help you get as entrepreneur your product better? Or maybe we'll talk later about sales and marketing a bit more, but like, what do you think some mistakes you did or things you didn't know that can help listeners?
So that's a very interesting question because really I would say the barriers to entry have never been lower, right, for anybody really to get into. And it's not just skincare. I think it's a variety of different industries, right? Because social media has democratized the environment, right? To where if you have a viral moment, your product could get noticed, and many people have been successful in that way of going from no one knows who you are to everybody knows your name. So I think that's a very interesting space for us to be in. Now, the first of all, you have to have the right idea. You have to have something that you can get proof of concept on. And it's not just what I call a Me Too idea, right? I think that there's so many Me Too's now. in the marketplace, and you're going to see a big, I think you're going to see a big shakeout over the next few years. Anything that was not like original or pioneering is probably going to go by the wayside. So that's number one, is make sure that what you're doing is original and interesting and that you run it by a lot of different people. And then, when you get ready to test it, you get proof of concept, meaning people other than your relatives will buy it from you or your friends, right? You got to get that sort of mini critical mass. Second, you have to have the technical know-how, of course, to do whatever it is you're doing, whether that's launching a product or whether that's making a beer, or I don't know why beer came to mind, but anything like craft oriented, right? That you want to do differently. But third, and I think is most important, which is probably where my biggest pain point was, is make sure that the founder group has enough technical skills to get you to that first funding level. And we recently sort of revamped our strategy from that because we had a lot of really awesome technical skills in our founder group, but we were missing some key ones that are going to help get us to that, sort of next funding level. And I was really interested. I listened to this podcast by I can't remember who was the interviewer, but the interviewee was the Liquid Death guy. And he said, give little chunks of your company away to the technical skills that you don't own, that you don't necessarily want to pay for, right? So just to give you an example, people say PR is dead, right? PR isn't dead. It just takes a lot of money and a really long time for something to gestate. So, and influencers not dead. It just is changing, right? So maybe you might want to think, oh, I need a founder who knows that space inside and out because I don't want to pay $100,000 a year for PR, and I don't want to pay, $200,000 a year for this or that, that you could actually get this person to do for you. And maybe you give away, I'm just making it up because I don't know everybody's economics out there, right? But maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 5%, whatever it is, so that you maintain control at the first funding level and the second funding level. You'll have to do the math on that, right? But build out your founder team, even if it's your own idea and it feels so close to your heart and it's your baby. It's great to share, right? It's great to open doors for other people, but also two, giving away equity for expertise if you don't have a lot of money is something that we should have done earlier stage in our life. Now we've only been around for 18 months, but we could have done it at the beginning, and that would have definitely accelerated our growth. Now we're really killing it, so we're very, very fortunate that things are going well. But if you want to accelerate, that would be my biggest advice.
Wow, and I really love that advice because I think we don't think that way, and so many startups are struggling with funding and raising the capital and everything. And but then sometimes we're so like selfish, like it's our baby. I don't want to share. I don't want to give equity. And I don't think there's not so many big brands and companies that are managing without giving shares, right? So like you have to give some part to actually scale and grow so much. So I really, really love that. And if you have one advice, maybe how you can make and let's talk about your industry. There's so many products, like every celebrity now has a line, right? And some are doing amazing, some are doing not so amazing. But if somebody's starting, they're completely unknown and they want their brand to stand out, do you think there are some tips, some ways of how they can make that? What is the buzz now? What is happening? I mean, things are changing so fast. So how would you go in that way that you push your product and you stand out?
I really think obviously it depends on the product itself. So I think, and it's a really great question. I think that oftentimes young brands or small brands are looking for like a smoking gun, right? Like, what's the panacea to getting my brand off and running? And I think it really just depends on, where do your customers live? Like, our customers definitely more of an anti-aging customer. So find out where she or he lives on the regular and do that thing over and over and over again until you are the master of it. Because what I see from some of my peers who have started brands is you're always enticed by what is like the shiny new object, right? Like, so when TikTok Shop came around, everybody was like, "Oh, it's got to be TikTok Shop," then somebody, probably ran ads, probably an ad agency probably ran ads and said, "You're doing it all wrong. You really should be on YouTube or whatever." And so people are like, "Oh my God, let me do. I'm really missing out on YouTube Shorts, blah blah blah." But really, what I got into this mentorship program of like 1,000 Shopify owners where you can talk to people, hear what they do well, hear what they don't do well. And one of the biggest refrains that I've heard is pick a lane, do one thing, and be such a master at it before you try to do 10 million things, whether that's an advertising platform or whether that's you just want to be the king or queen of podcasts, right? And just stay so dogged on that thing. And then when you have mastered it and you've totally maxed it out, if you haven't gone viral by that point in time, then pick another thing. But just, I mean, simple marketing 101 is make sure that your customer lives there and be that um, thought leader, that almost like a disciple of your own brand for as long as you can stand it, for as long as you can say the same thing over and over and over again. That's the key.
Yes, I love it. And you have to always work on the awareness of your products and services. I have an interesting question. So let's discuss a little bit about quality and like amount of marketing, because I feel that there are for sure so many quality products. And then we have these huge corporations like, brands selling in Sephora like L'Oreal and Maybelline and, different things from makeup to skincare that are still selling so much volume. I believe not because of quality, it's because of the marketing and just because they're so present. So where do you stand? Like, do you believe, of course, like, do you guys compete with the big corporations now, or do you believe in quality? It's more important, or where is your stand? I hope you understand my questions, like, because it's interesting to think you have for sure so many amazing products, let's say skincare, that we don't know about, and I maybe go and I buy some L'Oreal cream because it's L'Oreal. Yeah, I just see advertisements like 15 times per day
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's an awesome conundrum. And I've been on the other side of it where my brands were spending literally at one company I managed 8 brands and I spent like $2 million a week on TV for my brands and $2 million a week on Facebook for my brands, right? So we pushed through with like true grit, right? That's just like pure muscle to get through to the customer. And eventually, if you like you said, you hit the customer over the head with that message enough times, they will relent, right? Because you've convinced them. When you're somebody like me, you don't have that luxury, obviously. So I follow my own formula, which is kind of a funny one with regard to the positioning and messaging that's required to cut through. And for us, it's working, right? Because we're in a positive ROAS territory. We make money on every new sale, which is really remarkable for a brand that nobody knows. But I follow this acronym that I made up. It's called EBITDA, which is, like EBITDA. So EBITDA. I'm missing depreciation and amortization in it, but you get the idea. So the first one is E for emotional trigger. You have to have an emotional, visceral trigger for your value proposition, or if you're small, you're dead in the water. Now, large companies, especially in my industry, they don't need an emotional trigger because they got money and they've got beautiful packaging and it looks gorgeous and it's aspirational. You want to be a part of that thing. It makes you feel good, whatever that is. And in its own way, that is an emotional trigger, I suppose, right? Because it's an aspirational trigger. But for me and for small brands, you need to make sure that your brand trips something in people's minds. Now, for me, it's that I save people time, money, and confusion, right? But my emotional trigger is that anybody new I talk to is skeptical. So that's the trigger for me, right? They're like, I don't, that sounds like hocus pocus. I don't think that's possible. And so that is the emotional trigger for me. The second thing you need to do is be for brand. You got to tell somebody about your brand. The third thing you have to have in every message is influence, whether that's third party validation, whether it's an influencer, whether it's a review. T, you've got to do something transactional. You've got to give somebody something, especially now with the economy the way it is. You, you have to give them, it could be something as simple as free shipping. It could be a coupon, whatever is that extra thing. And the last one is A for assets, meaning do you have before and afters? Do you have the thing that closes the sale? So you can get their attention with the emotional trigger. But if you don't have the asset that closes it, whatever that happens to be, a clinical study, this or that, that says to people, oh, okay, this brand is legit. Like I can trust them. It could be your experience. That's the asset too. So when you have all of those things in the equation, you will convert. If you're missing any one of the five, you're going to be spending a lot more money and your ROAS just won't be there.
I love it. And I love abbreviations and I love because they can stay in our memory. We can remember them and use them easily. So please make sure, guys, to use this in developing your product and a service as well. It's absolutely true. We need these steps. So time is going so fast, and I want to ask you specifically, I would love to hear some story through your career. You have amazing career, but maybe of some failure of something, because we idolize people who have huge success and we feel they never failed and they never struggled or they, never had these bad days. And I know we all have them. So any story that's maybe, I don't know, specifically important that shaped you in the journey, some failure, mistakes that you made, or something in your career that was amazing learning experience.
I would say I've definitely had some businesses fail for sure. And I would say the number one reason is that I spent too much time working in the business instead of on the business. And I think that certainly comes from my control freak tendencies because, like for example, digital agencies, they will promise you the world, right? It's always an overpromise. And nine times out of 10, sorry for any digital owners out there, it's an under deliver and it costs you a lot of money. And so I think as an entrepreneur, your knee-jerk reaction is to contract. And you say to yourself, you know what? I'll just have to do it myself. I'll just learn how to run meta ads if those people, aren't going to do it for me profitably or whatever. And when you do that, you contract and you start working in the business instead of working on the business strategically. And that's okay to do for a short period of time if you want to say to yourself, you know what, I need to learn that thing because I don't know what the heck I'm saying to the agency to tell them what I want. I need to speak the right language. Maybe I don't know how to pull the levers properly. And so therefore, like I don't have the right technical expertise to be able to manage the agency. It's okay to do it for a moment, but then you've got to get back to expanding your knowledge, expanding your entrepreneurial vision of what the company should be. And like I said earlier, maybe you're going to give equity away for expertise in order to get a broader range of skills in the org. But yeah, if I like my thing in Colorado failed because I I did have a vision, but I was too busy to access it.
I love that advice. And like so many of us, we're guilty of it, even me included. Sometimes, like, we believe we can do everything best, and then we don't have funds, and we want to do so many things. And then you realize I'm not growing. I have to change my approach, my way of thinking, and so on. Thank you, Thomas, so much for being here. Like, this is so amazing. I could go on forever. And I really appreciate your time and sharing your experience with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to connect, follow Thomas, go and try his amazing cosmetics. I am looking forward to hear more of what you want to hear in the podcast. As always, make sure to please subscribe, download the episode, and as I always say, share with at least one person that can benefit from it. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.